to Issues, a program that explores topics affecting Wilmington and you, the people who live, work, and visit this wonderful city. I'm your host, John Rago, and on today's program we'll explore a whole host of issues with a person around whom the issues swirl, the 55th mayor of the City of Wilmington, Dennis P. Williams. Thank you, Mayor, so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know, the issues, where whatever they are, certainly do find a way of parking themselves on the doorstep of the mayor's office. And after 2 years on the job, your thoughts on the job itself, and is this what you signed up for?
Well, there's been some major changes in my thought process. You know, being in the General Assembly for almost 18 years, the way things were done in the state is totally different than urban politics. I think the first year I came in like a gangbuster, which caused some friction. I think my second year, there was still a little friction, and I do believe that now we have reconciled and we're going to move in a positive direction. You know, sometimes when you come from a different entity and that's the way you were trained, you come in with that philosophy. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I found with the state, we move very rapidly on getting things done, but I found there's a lot of bureaucratic nightmares in the city. Mm-hmm. And it becomes because of the code and people's position. But, you know, that's okay. We're going to work around that, and I think that the way we reached out this year with folks dealing with the budget and sat people down and talked to people early, I think you see a smooth transition where I think that pretty much sure this budget is going to pass. I feel confident with that.
You know, I think also that observation, your observation about it being different than the state, also centers on the fact that, I mean, you're the guy in charge right now. At the state, you had to pay attention to things because you were on that budget committee, but you didn't have to pay attention to the minutia of all of it. I mean, you got all of it now. So I mean, that's one right there. It's going to make things a little different for you.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The buck stops with me. As the code says, there's one CEO of the City of Wilmington, and that's the mayor. Yeah. You know, if it snows outside and there's a blizzard, it's my fault. Yeah. If there's a nice day, I don't get credit for that. But I have to keep on moving and do what I have to do.
Try to claim credit for those, for those nice days.
But you know, I tell you, I love the job. You know, I'm a very up for the challenge. I've always been a competitor. That's why I'm in this arena, public service. I love the challenge, and again, I feel very confident when it comes to competition. You know, I was an athlete, and I love competition. Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I like doing this program is that while you and I, who have been around government for a while, may know some of the nitty-gritty of government, I call it inside baseball. Mm-hmm. There are folks watching the program who, you know, they struggle with their daily lives and they're trying to keep up with government. So I like to talk a little bit more in depth about some of the issues when I talk to you today, which is, you may say, well, why are you asking me all that? Well, that's why. But let's start with the budget. You just presented your fiscal year 2016 operating budget, and tell me in your own words what you proposed. What's the theme? What do you want people to pull out of that budget? A message or the address that you gave also?
Well, I want people to understand that this administration is not a big spender. I asked for a bare bones budget. That's what I got. We wanted to cut each department. We cut almost 5%. I wanted to ensure that we weren't going to raise taxes on water. One of the things that I found coming into the City of Wilmington is that things were done the same old way, and that's why we use the theme A New Day. We have to stop trying to tax our way out of our problems. We have to reach out and lure more businesses here. And I'm not talking about businesses that just call us and say, you know, what about Wilmington? We might want to come. I have charged my economic development director with reaching out, going out to see some of these corporations, even if it costs us some money for travel. To come out of the vacuum, you need to go out and work and bring people here. You can't sit around and wait anymore. Wilmington has been, with no disrespect to anyone, has been kind of Mayberry-ish. And we are a city. We're not Mayberry. Right. And as long as I sit in the mayor's seat, we're going to reach out and be a city. We're not 9 to 5. We're going to go out and lure businesses in. We're going to compete with other cities, not with just rolling out the red carpet on saying what we can offer. We need to sit down with these corporations, mid-sized businesses, and even small businesses. I have an idea and a plan already in case they sell the Hotel DuPont. If it's an empty building, I have an idea already.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's something you're going to have to plan for, because
planning.
We don't know. And what the mayor is referring to is, of course, of the future of the DuPont company. We have, do you know if it's pronounced Chemours or Chemours, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but the new company that's supposed to be coming in July, we don't know how long that may be here.
Well, we've had several meetings with them. We've almost been guaranteed probably 24 months, and we don't know what's going to happen after that, but we are working to ensure that they stay. We're competing with 2 other locations. I don't want to talk about them at this point in time. But again, you have to look at an urban area. You cannot continue to rely on one corporation anymore. You know, if you've been around here all your life, we call DuPont Uncle Doopy. And anybody that's a Wilmingtonian or a Delawarean, that's what we always call them, because they hired so many people. I had 11 relatives retire from DuPont.
And I had a few myself.
So we know why we've always been entrenched. But one of the things that I made a commitment to do when I ran for office, I said the way city government is run, it's got to change. It got to change. And I'm going to reach out and, again, work with economic development to bring business here. And it can be done, but you have to do it right. And again, I also have a plan already for that building if they sell it. And if it's empty, I have a plan already.
Go ahead and tell us.
Not yet.
All right, well, we'll have you back so you can tell us. You know, presenting a budget, I liken it to a Broadway show. The show debuts, and then, of course, the reviews come in the morning after you present the budget. And so a few things. One struck me the other night when you were presenting the budget. You made a comment about the fact that city employees have not had an increase in a number of years, and you said, I'm going to do something about that. Now that you stopped at that point, I thought there was another sentence. So you got something in the works for?
We do.
Okay.
We've sat down with the some other unions at this point, and we've kind of dangled a carrot out there, and we're going to see where it goes.
Okay.
But I think negotiations has to change. I do believe that starting the negotiations off with the Fraternal Order Police, we may need to start changing that and going to other unions and starting them off. I don't want to do things the same old way, because I'm a person that I look at the results. I'm results driven. And when I don't see results that has taken place over the years on the way things were done, I'm not going to utilize that any longer, because it's a waste of time, it's a waste of the taxpayers' money, and it's a waste of our city employees' time.
Yeah, and it's the biggest part of your budget, personnel costs. So obviously something's got to be done there. And let's speak to one other thing. There are people watching the program right now who may say, well, wait a minute. You know, I'm employed, thank goodness. I haven't had a raise in 5 or 6 years either. Many of us are just thinking, hey, thank goodness that we're employed at this particular point. But at the same time, you know, after a while, you do have to you do have to say to the employees, hey, what you're doing is worth what you're doing, and therefore we have to compensate you.
Right.
Yeah. All right. It's a touchy issue.
Well, you know, here's another thing too. I think you're playing politics when you start to look at and worry about what people outside the building are doing, other employees. You have to respect the city employees, because 6 years without a pay raise is as far as I'm concerned, is pretty bad. When I had an $800 million deficit when I was chairman of Joint Finance, I made concessions with all the unions. They made concessions, they worked with me, and I told them when things got better, they would get a pay raise. Before I left, they were able to get a 6% raise over the years as me being chairman of Joint Finance, and the retirees were able to get 4%. They stayed committed to help me get through the $800 million deficit, and I was committed to them, and we shared something back. Folks that are employed in other places, I empathize with them, but I'm not their supervisor, and I'm not the one who signs their paycheck or implements their pay raises. I can't hold the city employees hostage because other people are not getting pay raises. That's not fair. And if people want to equate that and think that we should do that, I think it's totally unfair. Everybody had an opportunity to come to government and get a government job. And, you know, some people, you know, get upset with that, but I don't think it's fair to hold the city hostages for somebody else's pay raise.
Well, that's fair. I mean, this is the operation you run.
Absolutely.
Can't be bound by what others do. A few more things from the budget, and then we'll move on to some other topics. You made mention of keeping some of the community centers open until 11 o'clock at night. Now, I think you also said I think you hinted that you're going to need some money to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to need some additional money.
You always need money to do things. See,
well, I know, yeah, it drives everything, but...
there'll be a mayor's contingency fund that we can pull a few bucks out of. Also, we've already met with some banks. Some banks have committed some money to recreation. Again, we have reached out prior to some of the commitments we were making and asked folks for things, and I think it's never been done before. I really don't. I think some of the things that I'm getting because I'm asking, I'm stunned, because why weren't other people doing the same thing that I'm doing?
Yeah. And what we're talking about, of course, are a way to keep the young people busy. And you know, it speaks to sort of what's going on in some of our neighborhoods, some of our homes, not just in Wilmington, but around the country in our urban areas. The fact that we have to have something for the young people to do, because quite frankly, we don't want them back on the corners with the bad influences there, and even sometimes at home with bad influences there.
Well, that's true. You know, part of my police plan is getting into the house, talking to the parents or the guardian. And one of the things that I looked at is when we have talked to some folks, sometimes people can be addicted to alcohol or drugs, but there has to be a loving member of that family besides the people that are raising these children that can come in instead of calling Child Protective Services and take these children. And I think that we as a government have to be responsible. We can't say that's a societal problem and walk away from it. It's our problem because this is the next generation we're dealing with. And when I say it's our problem, it's a governmental problem too, because if the government doesn't step in and help turn these folks around, get them educated and teach them life skills, well, the government will be financing prisons and all kinds of different types of checks to help people survive. And when you turn your back on folks like that, you're talking about economic mess. And I don't want to be in the business of supporting the General Assembly and building prisons. I don't want to do that.
One more quick budget note, 0% on property tax increase, 0% on water sewer. Look, a little inside baseball here. If you're going to run for re-election, and not just you, any mayor wants to run for re-election, this is what they call like almost a safe year, where you could get by with little.
See what you just said? A safe year.
Yeah.
That's that same old malarkey.
Well, no. And again, I'm going to ask you about the same old malarkey. All right. And well, let me explain to the folks.
I got you.
Safe year meaning that this is a time when, and I'm going to say it very bluntly.
I'm going to come back bluntly. Okay.
But a time when an elected official can put in a small increase in property and water and sewer, and quite frankly, the electorate might not remember it by the time that person runs for re-election. All right, you chose to do it differently. You made a political decision. Okay,
now,
come back at me.
I made a leadership decision.
All right.
You know, if you worry about everything you do when you make decisions as an elected official, you're a failure. If you put politics before being a leader, you're a failure. And you know what? I won 11 primaries. You know how I won 11 primaries? Being honest with the constituents. And you know what? I made decisions, very serious decisions, in the General Assembly and since I've been here. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to hide anything. I said I did not want to raise taxes my first 4 years in office. I had to raise water and a little property tax last year, and the next 2 years I'm not going to do it.
Okay, look, what we're going to do is let's take a short break. We're going to come back with issues in just a moment. Lots more to talk about with Mayor Dennis P. Williamson. Thanks again for being with us. All right.
I really thank you for having me, Tom.
Absolutely. We'll be right back.
We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Okay, Simon, what do people wear?
Clothes.
That's right. So it's important to learn how to dress yourself. Here's how it's done. Shirt, underwear, pants, socks, shoes. Underwear, always first, name tag on the back. Then pants and shirt. Go ahead and put this on. Now with the shirt, you want to make sure the first button's right or you have to start all over again, okay? Socks left on left, right on right. Tying the shoes, we're going to take the laces, we're going to cross them over, we're going to turn around where the bunny goes down in the hole, pull it tight, and bunny ears. Got it?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
And we continue now with issues. Thanks for being with us. And our guest, of course, is Mayor Dennis P. Williams. Mayor, let's talk a little bit about crime. It's been the dominating subject, unfortunately. Let's talk about crime. Let's talk about criminals and what we're doing to make the city safer. The other night you mentioned a number, 62% drop in crime. Now, I think you were referring to what's called Operation Disrupt.
Yes.
All right. So that's a relatively short window, if you will, on a drop in crime, but it's something. And that's what you were saying.
Well, it's immediate effect because Operation Disrupt caused saturation. And when you saturate high crime areas, criminals tend to not want to encounter the police. When you have police officers every 3 and every 4 blocks, you think twice about committing crime. It's a multitude of the broken window theory, confront, with probable cause. If I was a bad guy carrying a gun, I wouldn't want to be walking down the street, not having any ID in my possession, or driving a motor vehicle with a tail light out, which under Title 21 gives police probable cause to make the stop. Right. And it's legitimate. Not only that, our officers went back to Widener University for almost 2 weeks and were retrained in parts of the Constitution. So people don't start talking, we're doing stop and frisk. We're not doing stop and frisk, we're doing stop with probable cause. Anytime a police officer has probable cause, they have a right to make the stop under 2-hour uniform law of arrest, under Title 11 or Title 21. And that's what we're doing.
All right, now you're throwing a lot of things at crime. Police patrols, the interrupters, joint operations with other agencies, police efforts to promote community policing and the community relationships. I just saw a recent thing where one of the officers is out there on an anti-snitching campaign. You've thrown a lot at it. How frustrating is it for you that it's, I mean, when are we going to, when do you think we're going to get it to it?
We're getting to it now. I'm starting to feel great.
Are you?
This is the best I've felt since I've been in office.
But you said that the other night at the budget address. That you were feeling better about this.
I'm feeling absolutely better. You know, it's putting a puzzle together, and you have to find the pieces to fit. I think we've made some mistakes along the way, but those mistakes we eliminated and put other things in place. When the puzzle started to get put together, we started finding that the things we were doing were moving in the right direction. The Police Advisory Council, where we brought people from the community, young folks that have had some situations with law enforcement in the past, but they've straightened their lives out. The clergy, business, community leadership, all these folks are at the table communicating with one another. This is engagement. Once you have engagement where people start to trust the police, your ability to solve crime is great. A police officer is an occupying soldier once he or she does not have the community behind them. Yeah. And that's not good, because when that happens is the police officer goes out into the community, enforces the laws, but they become an enforcer, not part of the community. And when you become an enforcer, not part of the community, people do not trust you. That's where the anti-police comes in. We don't want that.
Look, I grew up at 4th and Jackson. You are East Side.
Riverside.
Riverside. And I want to express a frustration for a moment. We have people out on the streets who have been out there, I'm talking about the good people, the ones who are going to be clergy, community people, and they've been trying year after year after year after year to try to get at some of this crime stuff. It's got to be frustrating, though. Now, some people are just out there because that's what they do, and they're driven by their ego. As far as I'm concerned, that's my thought. But it's got to be frustrating for you in a sense of trying to get at it. I mean, how do we wrap our arms around it? That's the part that gets me as a Wilmingtonian.
Well, John, I think the things that we are doing with the cure of violence, the extending the summer jobs, getting people back in GED programs, Local 55, hiring people, putting people to work. The new police patrols, the sectors that we developed, 3 sectors, we stopped using the citywide code. We came back and we divided the city into 3 equal parts. And now the Operation Disrupt, it's working. I think you're starting to see a decrease in shootings and a decrease in homicides and a decrease in overall Part 1 crime, which is felonies. Robberies and burglaries are down. But we didn't just get here. Yeah. We've been dealing with this for the past 20 years. I mean, and I think people looked at me.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about, the frustration about this has been
it's an ongoing problem. Yeah. And I think people have looked at me because I'm the retired policeman, and I think they didn't even look at me as the mayor.
Well, you told everybody you were the retired policeman.
I did. Well, they knew I was retired policeman because I was policeman of the year in 1984 by Kiwanis. Detective of the year. I used to solve a lot of crime. I worked homicide and robbery, and I did my job. I didn't make excuses. I went out and looked for bad guys. That was what I was paid to do, and I didn't cry. I went out there and did what I had to do. I think that you look at this whole spectrum of problems here with law enforcement. I think if you sit back and you really assess and start to see, you see there it's coming down. We're getting our arms around this thing. We really are.
Okay. Now, one indicator will be for you and for all of us who live in the city of Wilmington is some extended period now of these numbers going down. So we're going to wish each other luck on that. You have 34 new police officers coming out of the academy in when, May or June?
June.
June. All right. So that means for folks at home, we're down now. We have an authorized strength of 321.
We were down when I took office.
Oh, I know. And that's, well, and you do that through attrition. officers leave and take
Well,
jobs?
there was 22 policemen eliminated from the budget when I came in. And
That's true. At one point, it was up to 340.
and I had to eat that. And coming in with officers injured and people being pushed out of the budget, I had to do what I had to do with what I had.
Okay. Well, you got the academy. The cadets are out there. Do you call them cadets? They're
Recruits.
recruits. The recruits are out there, or there will be out there. Now you have to worry, or do you worry about you're going to have attrition issues again? So, I mean,
You keep moving, John. You keep moving, and you start looking for funding already. I'm already going to be sitting down and looking at ways to fund another academy. I'm going to be looking at the private sector to see if they can help us. We have a pool of great people that didn't make this cut, but these folks can make the next class. So we have people that's already been through the system. We have a pool of those folks we can start to pick up on. And if I can find the money, I'm ready to go.
Okay, ready to go with another academy.
I actually think we should be at 400. I really do.
Okay, well, that's going to be interesting to see if you can get us up to 400.
I would love to do that.
All right, now let me ask you a tricky question. You have a crime, I call it the crime panel. It's a state appointed, for the most part, group that's taking a look at crime. I sense, am I sensing a little bit of concern on your part as to what this group might either come up with or how in the world it would implement it based on what you've got in place already with crime? Couldn't that be a little bit of a clash, or am I looking at this the wrong way? How are you looking at the crime?
You're looking at it the wrong way.
Okay.
First of all they can do is make recommendations.
All right.
If I choose to take some of the recommendations, so be it. If I don't, so be it.
All right. So that's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
Okay, because they could, in theory, come out and suggest to you that you do something different than what you're already doing. I would imagine, knowing you, they'd have to have a pretty good reason to tell you to do that, right? All right. Let's. We talked a little bit about this. I'll turn to business at this point. Unless you want to say anything else about crime?
I'm good.
All right. Let me turn to business for just a moment. What is your relation? Tell me your relationship with the business community. Are you comfortable with it? I mean, the reason I ask the question is the corporate world's a little bit of a different world.
It is.
I didn't come from the corporate world.
Right.
You didn't come from the corporate world. They do their business. They make their money. Blah blah blah. What's your relationship with that corporate world out there?
Well, I started the Business Roundtable. I created that prior to even getting elected back in 2011. I said this is one of the things that we're going to do. Sometimes do we have some brushes and little stickiness? Absolutely. You know, I do believe that the heartthrob of any urban area is business. If you do not have money pumped into your system and people, your city is going to die. That's one of the reasons I implemented the downtown patrol. I'm the only mayor in the history of this city that redeployed officers downtown when the business community cried out when things were going on. We built a whole.
Of course, you were criticized. Some people said, "Oh, well, he's paying attention to downtown, not in the neighborhoods." But like you made a judgment call. Hey, I need to have my downtown safe.
If I don't protect my businesses, then our city dies. And when your businesses start to leave, you have to plug that hole with finances, and finances you cannot find, you're in trouble.
You know what surprised me though? Even after you did that, and then the article appears, there's a news journal article that appears on a Sunday that surprised the heck out of me, because in that article you have business people. Now these are business people who do business in Wilmington, make their money in Wilmington, and yet they're talking about Wilmington in such a way that it creates that perception of it's a bad city and don't come here.
Well, let me tell you about that article.
That surprised me.
That article, some of the people that made statements there was probably 6 and 7 months prior to me redeploying officers downtown.
Okay.
You have to watch the media. John, you came from the media. You know, media sometimes throws a rock and hides their hand. They hold a good quote that may be 99 years old and decide to throw it out there because they figure people haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah.
I've dealt with the media quite a bit as being an elected official, police officer. Media likes to throw curveballs. I don't really get all caught up. That's why you don't see major responses from me. People say you should fight back. Fight what? I'm not going to jump up and down and argue with anybody. If you want to write a bad story, I'm just going to outwork you and make the city better. Okay.
All right, good enough. So that was more of a media issue versus a business concern.
Yeah, some of those same folks those statements were made. I mean, they're giving us kudos to the hilt now.
Okay.
And have been even prior to that article being written out.
Okay.
And you know, some people who write stories, like the magazine article, some people think that's going to be their way to make it all the way to the top. They think it's going to be a hit. They're going to make a movie out of what they wrote about Wilmington, and you know, they're going to go off to stardom land. Well,
you know what? We're in a peculiar time in that with the print media. Print media, I mean, they're looking to survive, and so consequently, you know, you can get caught up very easily in not only on television and radio for the ratings, but of course subscribers for the print media, and then social media. Boy, I'm not sure about the whole social media thing. I mean, it's good and it's bad.
Well, we're on everything. You know, we're on everything that we can get our name out there on.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can't stop people from saying things, First Amendment, but you just have to keep moving. I think you don't respond to a whole bunch of foolishness and negativity. You just outwork folks.
All right, as we come to a close on the program, let me just get a little bit personal with you on some things. How did growing up on the city's east side affect the way you run the city today, or affect you as a person?
Well, first of all, you know, my great-grandparents and grandparents probably fed everybody on the east side. They did a lot of things for people. They cared about people, and I think that's part of my nature. You know, my father used to always tell me and my brothers, you don't need everything, and you know, you should be willing to share and help somebody else out. And my great-grandmother said, you need references to get to heaven.
Okay, yeah, you do. Pretty good. All right, now, did being a state legislator help you or hurt you as you came in to be mayor of the city of Wilmington?
It really helped me with the budget and policy, and it helped me so much, and it helped the city of Wilmington so much because I have the friendships in Dover, where I don't have to sit around and sit on the side of the wall and wonder who's going to be with me. I can go to the leadership because a lot of the leadership I helped get in the position that they're in, and I brought several people over to JFC, and they're personal friends of mine. I think friendships in the General Assembly are critical because the General Assembly runs the state. They have the key to the vault, and they make all the laws.
Yeah.
And I think that's what mayors have to understand, that you can jump up and down all you want to, but the best you can do is write resolutions in the city of Wilmington and some small pieces of legislation. But if the GA doesn't like it, they can overrule you and tell you to go in your office and shut the door.
Yeah, what the mayor's referring to is the fact that the General Assembly, essentially the state, gave us our charter, so we can do certain things as a city, and then we can't do other things as a city.
And there's things I'll be able to get passed down there because of friendships. I mean, and some of the folks that are in leadership positions now, I mean, I helped them. They were new folks years ago, and I helped them and guided them through the General Assembly. And I have a lot of friends in Dover. I worked on both sides of the aisle. I can give you an example. One year I couldn't get a budget passed. I needed some votes. And I went over to the other side, and I got 6 Republican votes to vote for the budget. People couldn't believe it. But it's all about relationships.
As we end, Mayor, and again, thank you for spending time with us, but it is a lot different on the inside looking out, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. I could give you a quote, but I can't say it on the air.
He will whisper it to me as we go off the air. All right, thank you. Mayor Dennis P. Williams, thanks so much for being with us today. We really do appreciate it. And that, of course, that's all the time we have for our program, and our thanks to Mayor Williams. If you have any thoughts about this discussion, please tweet them at WITN22 WILM, #issues22, or you can post your comments on this video's YouTube page. So for WITN22 and Wilmington City Council, I'm John Rago. Thanks so much for watching.